Hello, everyone. My name is Cooper Naylor, and welcome to the new segment here on this show, here on this channel called Opinion. Today, I'm going to be talking about my top 10 country singers slash bands of all time. So, buckle up and let's get going. All right, number one, and I think there's some debate about this, but in my mind, number one is George Strait. He is the king. I mean, just like a recent song that came out not too long ago by Scotty McCreery, you know, George Strait is the king of country music in my mind. I mean, I don't understand how you could do country music without George Strait. I mean, he he just embodies country music in my mind. And I think his best song he ever did was Write This Down. I mean, it's such a good song. I mean, it's talking about just writing down every memory as you go along with your life. And, you know, it's such a great song. Another one of his that is really great is Check Yes or No. I mean, it's such a fun song in Check Yes or No. I mean, it's just so much fun telling about two young kids who fall in love and you know, and they're basically high school sweethearts in a way. But then like they get married, and then it ends up, you know, it's such a sweet song. Um, and I'll be honest, it's one of the greatest, I believe, um, country music videos of all time. It it's really good. You have to see it to believe it. Um, and I mean, one of the songs from his movie he did a long time ago, Pure Country. Heartland was really great. But I think the best song that came out of Pure Country, I Cross My Heart. And it's such a good song because it just tells of a man who's just going to cross his heart, that he's going to do everything he can just for the one he loves. And it's such a great song. I really do think that's the best song from Pure Country. And I think really, if you're looking at George Strait's top two songs, in my opinion, Write This Down and I Cross My Heart are probably like the top two songs ever. Um, and I mean, you can go into much more like Carrying Your Love with Me. That is, oh my goodness, that's such a good song right there. And George Strait is just the king of country music. I mean, there's no other way you can slice it right here. It's just, he's the king. Number two, I've got Alan Jackson. And if you're looking for, in my opinion, the greatest album ever to be recorded, that is in country music, Alan Jackson's gospel hits, where he just sings all the gospel songs, to me is the greatest country album of all time. And I know you could consider it gospel and not country, but here's the thing. Alan Jackson to me is a country singer, and he brings a old school country style to the songs. So I think that's the greatest album ever recorded. The gospel track, Alan Jackson, and it just, you gotta listen to it. His voice is perfect for all the songs, and you may have grown up listening to these songs, like listening and singing these songs in church. But here's the thing. Alan Jackson just makes it so different listening to these songs. It just makes it so much better. But if you're looking for one of his original songs, Chattahoochee, let me tell you, that one is a very fun song, and I could listen to it all day long. Chattahoochee is such a great song, and I mean, I'm going to be completely honest with you. One thing I want to do is go see the Chattahoochee River just because of that song. It's kind of funny, but yeah, I want to go see the Chattahoochee River. So, of course, that's part of my bucket list. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a video for y'all to see here on YouTube someday of me going to the Chattahoochee River. Who knows? You never know. But next at number 3, and we're doing top 10. So we're at number 3 now. George Jones. Um, he just sounds as if he's a guy who I mean, all throughout his career, he had that sound of like of an older man who just had this deep sound to his voice, and it was just so good. For example, I Don't Need Your Rocking Chair. Of course, this is when he's older, but it was I like the song. It's basically saying that, you know, I don't need to do everything the way you do it. I'm doing it my own way. So, I Don't Need Your Rocking Chair is a great song. But then another one of his songs I really like, and this is going back to him back, I believe this is like 1959, 1960, somewhere around that time frame. White Lightning was a really great song, I think, and it's fun too. I think it would be really good if you're one of these people that's just now starting to understand what country music is. That's a great song to go listen to. And so, George Jones is number 3 for sure. Hank Williams Sr. is number 4. Now, all 4 of these men that I've listed so far, I mean, you could argue is the king of country music. I mean, let's be honest. Any of the 4, you could argue, is the king. And after that, I feel like there's not really a debate because I feel like these are the 4 men who are the top. George Strait, Alan Jackson, George Jones, Hank Williams Sr. Hank Williams Sr. is the guy that brings heartbreak country. He is heartbreak country. And the reason I say that is because it just seems like he's just had these experiences in his life that just brings it out of him, and it just makes total sense, and his voice is so perfect. It's a blues style. It's so good. I Saw the Light, though, is such a good song, and the reason why I say that is because it's just as like a redemption for Hank Sr. because everybody knows like the struggles that he went through, but like I Saw the Light is such a good song. And so I think that's his top song ever. And I mean, if you're looking for a song that not only inspired people through country, but it inspired like all throughout these other genres of music, it's incredible. It's been so many times re-recorded, and so it's a great song right there. Hank Sr., I Saw the Light. Another one that's really great of his is Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. And this is one of his just super sad songs, but it's so good. And it's what made him Hank Sr. I mean, that's just him. All right, moving on to number 5, Randy Travis. Now, this is the one I know a lot of people may start being like, well, why'd you not put Johnny Cash or Merle Haggard or, Willie Nelson, Kenny Rogers? I mean, I'll be honest. I am a big fan of Randy Travis and his music. I could sit down one day and just listen to his music all day because his voice is it was just incredible. And of course, it was just one of these guys that just had the super deep voice. Like, if you're talking about one of the like deepest voices to ever come into the country music scene, to just sound so good, and it just had that, I guess, like, had it just had something special there from the beginning, and none other better represents his style than Forever and Ever Amen. It just is so good. And it's just telling of a man who is just going to stick by the side of his lover forever. And it's just such a good song. Deeper Than the Holler it's another one of those songs that's just so good. And the writing to his songs is just so good, folks. I mean, Randy Travis is one of these people that just has this voice that can just grab you and keep you into the loop of his singing, because everybody just, I feel like a lot of people hear it and then you just can't quit. It's just that good. So Randy Travis is number 5. Number 6 is Johnny Cash. And I mean, he's got so many great songs. I mean, Folsom Prison Blues is my favorite that Johnny Cash sings. It just is it's so good, because it's a man who's killed somebody, and he's singing about why he regrets doing that on the train as he's going to Folsom Prison. And so it's really good. Another one of his good songs, I Walk the Line and Daddy Sang Bass. You got to go see them. You know, just look it up. I mean, those are great songs. All these songs that I mentioned so far, you need to go see them because they're good. And you can find it, all over the internet. So, Waylon Jennings is number 7, and his best song ever was "I'm a Ramblin' Man." That's just my opinion. It was just, his voice is so good, and I like listening to his voice so much. And it's just like, the last 2 guys I mentioned are just outlaw country. I mean, it's just what it is. And Waylon Jennings, I mean, in "I'm a Ramblin' Man," there's no other way to put it but outlaw country. That's what it is. So, number 8, Hank Williams Jr. And his best song was "Born to Boogie." I mean, it's an incredible song. I mean, I think anybody would love hearing that. And it's just such a song that just, like, it just fits anything. Like, I mean, as y'all know, I'm a big football fan. That would be something you want to hear when you first turn on your TV to watch, say, like, Alabama and Auburn. And you've got "Born to Boogie" right there in the intro. I mean, you can't get anything better than that. There's nothing better than that. And then if you really want to hear the story of Hank Williams Jr., you got to listen to Family Tradition. I mean, it just details everything. So I think that's the song you got to see if you really want to know Hank Jr. Number 9 is Merle Haggard. And let me tell you, "Big City" is his best song, because it just tells of a man who is trying to leave the big city, and he wants to be set free to basically go out into the country and just do what he wants. The big city is, how he describes it in the song, it's just nasty work sometimes in the big city. So he wants to be set loose and be free. And it's incredible. And now we come to number 10, and it's the only band that I am going to mention, and that's Brooks and Dunn. Boot, Scootin' Boogie is their best song ever. Brooks and Dunn is just, they're the greatest band of all time, in my opinion. And you're looking at Boot, Scootin' Boogie, and it's just, I mean, can you really like think of Honky Tonk any different? It's just, it's got that honky tonk country style, and it's incredible. If you haven't heard that song, you've got to go find it because it is incredible. So that's my top 10, and just right outside, I had Kenny Rogers, Roy Acuff, and Willie Nelson just outside of the top 10. And so, I mean, as you can see, country music has been bountiful in incredible singers. I mean, there's nowhere else, there's no other genre, in my opinion, that you can really say that there's more than 10 singers or bands that you could consider the top of the top, the best of the best. Country music is the only place you can see that, where it is just a toss-up for the top. So that is what makes country music incredible. So, in the comments, tell me what you think. If you agree with what I think, like my top 10, or if you think that I did something wrong with the top 10, like if I need to change it, if it's not the way that you think it should be. So let me know in the comments. Also, I plan on doing an opinion video on like top country music of today here in the 2020s. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to leave you with today. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again later. Hello everyone, my name is Cooper Naylor, and I am happy to announce that the Saber Broadcast Network Christmas Special will be returning this Christmas for your enjoyment. What we plan on having in there is, again, we'll have some musical performances, we'll have the reading of the Christmas story, we may have some comedy thrown in there, so we'll see what happens with that. And so we've got a whole bucket list of things that we want to put into this. And so we plan on making it a 30-minute Christmas special for you and yours to enjoy on your very special Christmas. Of course, I am so glad to be announcing this because this is one of my favorite projects that I do throughout the year. And so I am ready to put it together for you and your family. College football 2021. What a year for college football it was. You had a national championship that was a rematch of what was the SEC championship. And it was a great game. But there's a lot more to talk about besides the national championship. There is a whole lot more. And so let's dive in to what was the 2021 college football season. All right, so this past year in college football was one that was met with a lot of expectations from some and others not so much. This was a year where two of the teams that had been at the top of college football for a long time had what they would consider a down year. That would be Alabama and Clemson. Alabama, though, 13-2 at the end of the year, and that's a down year. It shows to how impressive Nick Saban is and his teams are. And it shows how impressive these players are, too. And to have the Heisman winner on your squad, and this was a rebuild year for Alabama, it's incredible. Clemson went 10-3 throughout the year, and they didn't even make the playoff for the first. I mean, this wasn't a thing. Okay, so they made it in 2020. So this was they didn't make it this past. Make it in 2021, and 3 losses for a team that had been accustomed to either 1 or 2. It was a very different year for the Clemson Tigers. Of course, losing 3, which you can consider some really tough games. I mean, they lost to Georgia in Charlotte, which Georgia ended up being the national champion. They lost at NC State, which was a quality team, and they lost at Pitt, which Pitt was a quality team, which they had a Heisman finalist in Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett was a really great quarterback for Pitt. Pitt had a great year, ended up losing in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, but Pitt had a great year. But let's talk about maybe a team that may have shocked a lot of people last season. And, honestly, you could argue that Arkansas shocked a lot of people. And here is the reasoning behind that. I mean, Sam Pittman comes in the 2020 year. He's starting from scratch with his squad, and they're trying to figure out, okay, what is he even going to do here at Arkansas? I mean, here's a guy who really his only head coaching experience comes from junior college, and he had never been really that high in the coaching ranks as far as in the Division I, and he had really only, the biggest thing he's ever been would be, I think he's been offensive line coach. So to that point, he gets there. He wins 3 SEC games for Arkansas. That was a step up from what was the last few years where they didn't even win a SEC game. To win 3 after losing there's a lot straight. So Arkansas did really good, 3-7. But here's the thing, though. Some people did not believe that they could do it again and come back in 2021 and be even better. Well, they proved the doubters wrong, and they went 9-4. And if you look at the games they won, they beat Texas A&M in Arlington, Texas. I mean, that was a remarkable win, considering the fact that I believe our Texas A&M was undefeated to that point. And, people are going to look at Arkansas and say, well, look at how bad they got killed by Georgia. Well, let me tell you something, though. How many teams could really stay in the game with both Alabama and Georgia last season? I mean, well, let me rephrase that. How many teams could really keep up with Georgia last year? I mean, I think that is the question that people have to ask, because Georgia was a team that had a great defense, and their offense was lethal as well. And Georgia was a team that this was a once in I mean, this was the moment that if Kirby Smart was going to get Georgia over the top of the mountain, this was the time to do it. We thought after the SEC championship game, that may have been it for Kirby Smart at his chances to beat Nick Saban, because Alabama just railroaded them 41-24. And even though the score may say that it was 41-24, Alabama played such a good game in the SEC championship game that really it didn't look like Georgia had really belonged on the field. And here's the thing, though. The thing that people look back at with that game, they're looking at it like, okay, so Alabama is what Alabama themselves considers a rebuild year, and they're 12-1 and they're the number one team in the college football playoff. Now, I will say this. I have a hard time believing that this Alabama team would have beat any of the previous years with Nick Saban. You can look back at the 2020 team with Mac Jones as the quarterback, and you could say, yeah, this 2021 team would not beat that 2020 team. So it was a year where it was kind of crazy. So you get to the college football playoff, you got Alabama number 1, you got Michigan number 2, Georgia's number 3, and I believe number 4, Cincinnati. The first group of 5 team to ever make the college football playoff. And let me tell you, when I say they got smoked by Alabama, they got smoked. 24-6. And 27-6. So you may even be asking me, 21 points is not all that much. Well, if you go back and watch the way the game was played, then you would know that Alabama just completely railroaded Cincinnati, because Cincinnati gets to the playoff. And I feel like there was a lot of self-confidence and cockiness in a way from Cincinnati, because who wouldn't be overjoyous about the fact that you're the first group of 5 team to ever make the playoff? And what helped was beating Notre Dame at Notre Dame Stadium. Ultimately, you could argue that even if Cincinnati had lost one game, that you could argue that Notre Dame probably would have jumped them, because it's Notre Dame. And the question was still last year, would an undefeated Cincinnati be dropped out of the playoff because there was Notre Dame right there at one loss and still looked pretty good? And come to find out, Notre Dame would end up losing in the Fiesta Bowl to Oklahoma State. So, a lot of craziness that goes along with the sport. So, as you can tell, last season was one that had a lot of storylines, and really one of the most incredible things is that you look at this upcoming year, and it could be even better, folks. So, the thing I would say is get ready for some great college football coming up this season. As, college football wraparound returns, let's share some great college football moments. So, with that, it is time for college football wraparound. Thanks for watching. Let's go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to College Football Wraparound. We were having just a little bit of technical difficulties here just a second ago. So we got that fixed just right now for you. But we have a full show provided for you. Of course, we just did our pre-recorded video, and of course, we'll be here every Saturday for the whole entire college football season. So one of our technical difficulties is we had a actual intro that we were going to play here for you. We couldn't get that to play, so we do apologize for our technical difficulties, but hope to have them resolved hopefully next week. But either way, let's dive into college football because there is a lot to get into here. And so, so I have created a poll of my own, and this is just my opinion on what I think the college football looks like. And so I'm trying to get this pulled up real quick. Okay. So there is the schedule that we plan on using today. So we've got our intro, and then I'm going to show you the poll that I put together. Then we're going to have a question and answers time. If you have any questions you want to ask me, I'm there for 13 minutes where I will answer your questions. Then I'm going to preview today's games, and then we're going to pick today's games. So that is what is going to happen today. So there is my poll. So a very long list, and I'm going to go ahead and put the AP poll up here for you just so that you will get an idea of what the AP. So the AP is down there on the bottom, on the bottom of your screen, and my poll is right here on the screen in front of you. So here is my rundown. I've got Alabama number 1, Ohio State number 2, Texas number 3, Notre Dame number 4, Tennessee is number 5, Arkansas is number 6, Georgia is number 7, Clemson is number 8, Texas A&M is number 9, Michigan's number 10, Oklahoma's 11, Oregon's 12, USC 13, Baylor 14, Oklahoma State 15, Penn State 16, Mississippi State 17, Ole Miss is 18, NC State is 19, Miami is 20, Wisconsin is 21, South Carolina is 22, Michigan State is 23, BYU is 24, and Purdue is 25. So, Alabama being number 1. I mean, it's just obvious. You look at who's transferred into Alabama, they only get the best transfers, and they have most of the same team coming back offensively and defensively. So Alabama is a scary good team, and I think they will win the national championship. Ohio State is a team sort of like Alabama. They have a lot of returning starters. It's mainly on defense that they got the returning starters, but either way, they got some really good talent. You could tell that they had a lot of talent when you watched that Rose Bowl last season between Ohio State and Utah. So Ohio State looks pretty good. Texas is number 3. Now, this is the one that a lot of people are like, why Texas? Well, let me tell you why Texas. They had a great transfer quarterback, Quinn Ewers. He came back to his home state of Texas. Of course, he's from Texas. He originally committed to go to Ohio State. He went there for a year, and so he didn't get to play at all, and he knew he wasn't going to get to play any this year because of C.J. Stroud already in front of him. So he transfers out, and he goes to Texas, and he's the starting quarterback. So I imagine he's going to be incredible. Then you got Notre Dame at number 4. Now, the only question you have to ask about Notre Dame is how are they going to do with the new head coach? Marcus Freeman is the new head coach of the Fighting Irish, And, of course, it's been Brian Kelly for years. So the question a lot of people have is, what is it going to look like for a Marcus Freeman-led Notre Dame Fighting Irish team? So we'll see. Tennessee, I feel like after watching them last season, they showed a lot of improvement. I think that they are going to go to the SEC championship game, and it would be the first time that Alabama and Tennessee would meet twice in a year. That is, they would have met in the regular season, and then they would meet in the SEC championship game. So I think that was what is in store for Tennessee. Plus, if you look at their quarterback, Hendon Hooker is their quarterback right now. He, I think, is really good. So Tennessee is number 5. Number 6 is Arkansas. They have a lot of returning starters. The only thing that questions that a lot of people have had is how are they going to replace Treylon Burks, their star wide receiver? Well, let me tell you, I think after seeing what Sam Pittman has had to say about his wide receiver core, this team is going to be really good, folks. And KJ Jefferson has gotten better. So be ready to watch some really good Arkansas football. Don't be shocked at all if at the end of the season you could potentially see Arkansas at 11-1 and their only loss is to Alabama. I can imagine it would happen. And we could see a situation where, for the first time, that the two teams from the same division in a conference ends up going to the college football playoff. Now, if you look at how in the past it's worked out with multiple teams being in the playoff, I mean, you got to go back. Hold on. So I'll pull this up real quick just to show y'all what the playoff has looked like. And it is incredible to see just how many times a certain team will get to the playoff. I think Alabama has gone to the playoff more than any other team. And it's not a shocker just because, I mean, Nick Saban is the coach in Tuscaloosa right now. So let me pull this up for y'all real quick. So I feel like this is important it's important. So let's see. It wasn't until 2018. No, 20. I think it is. It was 2017-18. That was the first year we had two teams from the same conference make the college football playoff. That was Alabama and Georgia from the SEC. And then 2020, 2021, in a technicality, Notre Dame and Clemson were in the same conference. So they both ended up in the playoff. And that was a technicality for that one season. So, and then last year, Alabama and Georgia again. So, and the reason why Clemson and Notre Dame would not be considered in the same division is because, if I believe correctly how it ended up, Notre Dame was a special case in that situation with COVID and everything. They were not in a division. I feel like, if I remember this correctly, that you had the same divisions as you had with the Atlantic and the Coastal. All teams stayed, and then it was just Notre Dame was the only team that was not in a division in the ACC, which makes it very confusing. But, 2020 was a confusing year anyway. So, that is how that shook out. So, I think Arkansas and Alabama may be the first time ever that the two teams from the same division make the college football playoff. And let's be honest, it would have happened a couple years ago in 2019-20 had Alabama not lost to Auburn at Auburn. Then Alabama probably makes it in there. They probably do end up maybe jumping Oklahoma. So, I mean, incredible stuff has happened. And we'll just, But let's see. Georgia's number 7, defending national champions. They lose a lot from the defense. And I just have a hard time believing that they would get back to the playoff. Haven't done it yet. I mean, they've only been there twice. And, they're 1-1 in the CFP National Championship game. Of course, both times playing against Alabama. So, I think one thing that does help Georgia, though, is that they do have Stetson Bennett, their star quarterback, coming back. So that helps. But I don't think it's enough for Georgia to go back-to-back or even make the playoff. I don't think they'll even go to the SEC Championship game this year. So, that's something to watch for. And then you got Clemson is just, they're really good, but I don't feel like they're a playoff team this year. And here's the way I do my poll in the preseason. I do it like this. I put the top 4 teams is the 4 teams that I feel like are going to be in the playoff at the end of the year. Now, you may I may be way off here, but here's the thing, I think of it this way. Even if I am, this is my prediction, and I'm going to, and that's what I'm going to put out there for my poll. So, and I'm going to put I'm going to start on the Wednesday afternoon after week 1. I'm going to update my poll, and it is probably going to change. I would not be shocked if it changes, but what I'm going to do is I will change it so that when we come back, and I'm going to post it to Saber Broadcast, to our website on Saber Broadcast Network. But that is what I plan on doing, so that you can get an early look at who I am looking at as, who I think is going to be the best. And so that Wednesday would be September 14th. So that's when you can find it, is Wednesday, September 14th. I'll be putting my updated poll on our website, and it'll be in a blog, so you'll see it. So, that'll be fun to keep up with. Of course, we'll see how much it changes. So, just a lot of fun with doing a poll and just at the end of the year seeing how things change. So, after this video, I will put my preseason poll out on there as well. I'm going to put it out Wednesday. Put my poll out Wednesday and just let you have a look at it. So, Wednesday, September 7th. So, that is what is happening with my poll. And so, hope you like it, hopefully. So, that is my poll. So, now, I do want to turn my attention to the question and answers time. This is where you, the viewers, have a chance to ask me questions, and I really do enjoy answering your questions. So right now is the time. If you got a question, please ask it, because I am ready to answer your question. Okay. Of course, this is the first week of college football wraparound. It's week 0 of the college football season, it has been a long wait getting here, but we finally are here. So, um, we'll have some fun with it. So we do have the intro. We'll play it next week when we do college football wraparound again. But this week we're gonna cut it because we couldn't get to play. So that is what's happening with the intro. So we do apologize for that. So that is what's happening. All right. All right. So I'm going to go ahead, since we got no comments right now, I'm just going to dive into previewing some of the games that are coming up today. Of course, there are a lot of games coming up, and it's very exciting that college football is back. So I did want to start off, though, and I think we're going to cut our Q&A time, and I'll just end it here in a couple minutes. So actually, let's just go ahead and pick the games today. So I am trying to get that pulled up real quick. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with the games that are later, and we're going to work our way down to Nebraska and Northwestern, which is our game of the week. We have been waiting so long for it to be back, and here we are with some college football. So I try to quickly get this here for you. And of course, I will say this: if you are watching this and you can tell that it's the first stream of the college football season, so there always are some hiccups to it. So, we try to stay away from as many issues as we can, but sometimes you cannot help it because some issues do occur. So we do apologize for any kind of issues that you may be seeing in the video, but either way, we'll get through it today. So, all right, here, putting in the last. All right. So, first game we're going to pick today is Vanderbilt at Hawaii. And so, this is a really interesting game for me. I want to see how Vanderbilt's going to do because I really do not know how good they're going to play. And there's just a lot of question marks to Vanderbilt this season. So, I think I'm going to go Hawaii on this game. Then you got Nevada at New Mexico State. It's really a game where it's interesting just to see how these teams are going to play. But I'm going to take Nevada. That's who I'm going to take. Nevada will win this game. All right, North Texas at UTEP. This one is an interesting game. It's a Texas rivalry, and so I'm really interested to see how these teams do. I think I'm going to take North Texas in this game to win on the road. I think that's what's going to happen. All right, so now we got Florida A&M at North Carolina. This one is interesting because Drake May will be the starting quarterback for the North Carolina Tar Heels, and this will really be a fun game to watch. And I think I'm going to take North Carolina in this one. I think they should win by a big margin, you would hope, but we don't know what's going to happen, so I'm going to take North Carolina to win big. Then you got Charlotte and Florida Atlantic. I think I'm going to take Florida Atlantic to win this one. Duquesne and Florida State. The Seminoles should win this one pretty big, and it really will be a fun one to watch. So I'm going to take Florida State. All right. So now it is Wyoming at Illinois. Illinois, I'm gonna take them. This one I really do feel like, though, it'll be a competitive football game throughout the whole day. So I'm gonna take Illinois, and I think if I'm gonna predict the score, I'm gonna take I want to say 31-21. I think that's a fair score for this game. 31-21 Illinois. So Illinois wins 31-21 over Wyoming at home. All right. UConn at Utah State. I think Utah State will get the best of UConn, so Utah State will win this one. And then Idaho State at UNLV. I'm going to take UNLV in this one. I just don't think Idaho State has the power to keep up with UNLV. All right, and then we got Austin Peay at Western Kentucky. That is coming up in a minute. I'm going to take Western Kentucky to win this one. And then the game coming up in 30 minutes and our game of the week, Nebraska versus Northwestern. This is going to be a fun game to watch. It's in Dublin, Ireland, but if I have to choose a winner, I'm taking Nebraska in this one. So, with that, this has been College Football Wraparound, the first edition of the college football season. We hope that you have enjoyed it. And so, we thank you all for watching, and we will see you again next week.